Trigonometry with 3D shapes. Look at this square base pyramid. The base is a square labeled BCDE, and the perpendicular height AF is 6 centimeters. Each side of the square is 5 centimeters. The diagram shows a square base pyramid A, B, C, D, E. The diagonals of square meet at F. So what is this diagonal? That is EC and BD, which meets at F. So you are asked to find the length AC. To find the length AC, from this square base pyramid, I am going to remove the base and draw it separately. So you can see that base is a 2D figure, which is a square. And EC is the diagonal of the square. Such, for me to find the length of the diagonal, I can use Pythagoras Theorem. Using Pythagoras Theorem, I will find the length of the diagonal EC. Such, EC squared equals to 5 squared plus 5 squared, which EC squared equals to 50, and EC is equal to root 50. Thereafter, you can see that the perpendicular AF creates a right angle with the length FC, which is half of the diagonal. I repeat, the perpendicular AF creates a right angle triangle with FC, which is half of the diagonal, and AC, such that with the half of the diagonal, it creates a right angle triangle, the perpendicular AF. I am going to draw it separately over here. AF is 6 centimeters. FC is half the diagonal, which is root 50 divided by 2. Using this information, we are going to find the length AC, which is another right angle triangle. You can use Pythagoras Theorem. AC squared, that is this, AC squared is equal to AF squared, which is the perpendicular height, and FC squared, which is half the diagonal. Therefore, AC is 6.96 centimeters. Nextly, they are asking the angle ACF. They are asking for the angle ACF. So they are asking you to find this angle. You are asked to find this angle ACF. So you know that you used Pythagoras Theorem to find the length AC in the previous figure, and then the length FC is the half of the diagonal. Length FC is half of the diagonal. So if I draw it separately, AC is the hypotenuse, that is 6.96 centimeters. AF, which is the perpendicular, which is 6 centimeters. And FC is half the diagonal, that is from here. FC, half the diagonal, which is root 50 over 2. AF, that's a perpendicular. And AC, you found it using Pythagoras Theorem. Using this information, we can work out the triangle ACF as AF AFC, as AFC is a right angle triangle. So we are going to use the sine ratio, which is sine theta equals to opposite length divided by the hypotenuse. Sine theta equals 6 divided by 6.96. Such theta, the angle C is equal to 59.5. Thereafter, they are asking you to find the shortest distance from F to DC. The shortest distance from F to DC is the perpendicular distance. From F to DC, I draw a perpendicular which is FM, and you can clearly see that FM and DC creates 90 degrees because it is the perpendicular distance from F to DC is the shortest distance that you can calculate. So FMC, which I have highlighted, FMC is a right angle triangle. Such I will draw it separately. F to M, M to C, and F to C, so that F to M, M to C, and F to C is a right angle triangle, whereas you know that FC is half the diagonal, MC is half the length DC, such half the diagonal 3.53 and half of 5 is 2.5. We can use Pythagoras Theorem to the right angle triangle FMC to find the length FM. 3.53 squared equals 2.5 squared plus FM squared, which FM is equal to 2.5. Nextly, I want to find the angle which FM creates with AM. So you want to find the angle which FM creates with AM, that is this angle over here. So I drew it separately. Now I have the triangle AFM joined to A again. I drew it separately. AF is 6 centimeters. FM we worked out it's 2.5 centimeters. Now we can find the angle which FM creates with AM, such angle AMF is equal to, using the tan ratio, we can find opposite length 6 centimeters, adjacent length 2.5 centimeters, gives you the value theta equals 67.3. Angle AMF is 67.3. In this question, the diagram shows a square base pyramid ABCDE. The diagonal of square meet at M. So what are these diagonals? This is the diagonal of the square as well as this is a diagonal of a square. So these two diagonals meet at M. E is vertically above M. AB is equal to BC, which is 12 centimeters, and EM equals 9 centimeters. Calculate the angle between the edge EC and base ABCDE. So the angle between the edge EC, so this is EC is the edge, and they want you to calculate this angle with the square base. As you did in the previous sum, as the first step, I will draw the square, that is the base of the 3D figure, separately as we did before. and I will find the length of the diagonal using Pythagoras theorem. So the length of the diagram AC is, the length of the diagonal AC is 200 root 288. Then I know that MC is half the length of diagonal, which EMC creates a right angle triangle. MC is half the length of the diagonal, which EMC creates a right angle triangle. EM is the perpendicular height. MC is half the length of the diagonal. Again, using Pythagoras theorem, I can find the length of EC. That is 12.4 centimeters. I repeat, as the first step, I found the length of the diagonal, and then EM is the half length of diagonal. MC is half length of diagonal. EM is the perpendicular height, and you're asked to find the length EC such EMC is a right angle triangle. I drew it separately. I used Pythagoras theorem and I found the length EC as 12.4 centimeters. Thereafter, the question requires for you to find the angle which EC creates with the square base. The angle which EC creates with the square base. So if I take it from the triangle, they ask for this angle EMC. They ask for this angle EMC. So this is a right angle triangle. You can use sine ratio, which opposite divide by the hypotenuse. And the angle is equal to 46.54. The angle ECM is equal to 46.54. Look at this question. This is also similar to the previous two examples which I discussed. The diagram shows a pyramid on a rectangular base ABCD with AB 6 centimeters and AD 5 centimeters. The diagonals AC and BD intersects at F. The vertical height FP equals 3 centimeters. So this is a past paper question. Part A, how many planes of symmetry does the pyramid have? So in this case, it has 2 planes of symmetry. Part B, calculate the volume of pyramid. So the formula is given. You have to substitute the values and calculate the volume of the pyramid. Nextly, you're asked, they say that the midpoint of BC is M. So the midpoint of the BC is M. I did a similar question in the first example of this presentation. Such, if M is the shortest distance to BC, which is FM is a perpendicular to the line BC. Then first thing is FMB creates a right angle triangle. FMB creates a right angle triangle. Here is the right angle at M. So using Pythagoras theorem, you can find the length FM. Using Pythagoras theorem, you can find the length FM. Such FB is half the length of the diagonal DB, which is root 61 over 2. MB is half the length of the line BC, which is 2.5. And you can use Pythagoras theorem to find the length FM. With Pythagoras theorem, you can find the length FM as 3 centimeters. The question asks the angle between PMF. You can draw it separately. PFM is a right angle triangle. PFM is a right angle triangle such the PF is 3 centimeters, found FM is 3 centimeters. So you can find the angle between PM and the base, which 3 divided by 3, tan inverse, it is 45 degrees. Such PF is the opposite length and FM is the adjacent length. You can work out for the angle as 45 degrees. They ask you to find the angle between PB and the base. PB and the base, again you can create a new right angle triangle. PFB is a right angle triangle. Vertical height, half the diagonal. Along with the line PB, it's a right angle triangle. So you can calculate the angle PB with the base, that is over here. So opposite divide by the adjacent again. And opposite length is 3 while the adjacent is root 61 divided by 2, that is 3.9, and tan inverse gives you the answer as 37.5. So it's 3 divided by 3.9, tan inverse 37.5. Then they ask you to find the length PB and use Pythagoras Theorem since it's a right angle triangle. I have not worked out the answers for this question. Answers are given. You can check your answers after following the two examples. You can do this sum very easily.